The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and/or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
TV party tonight! What? TV party tonight!
Oh, we got nothing better to do than watch TV and have a couple of brews.
Don't want to talk about anything else.
We don't want to know.
We're dedicated here
To our favorite shows.
Oh, my tickets!
Everybody loves Hypno Toad.
Scary dog!
Pearson and Blurnsville.
Futurama!
Hello, hello, hello. Good evening. Welcome to TV Party Tonight. I'm your host, Alexis Hejna. Joining me tonight, Mr. Andrew Orozco. How's it going? I love your hat. That thing is awesome. And you got the pillow in the background. You are just like totally on point tonight, man. I love it.
Thanks, Alexis. I'm doing fine. Actually, I'm one of the reasons I'm wearing the beanie is because these headphones are so old that the leather kind of degrades and falls off.
Oh, sure.
So
yeah.
whenever I take them off, if they touch bare skin, I have like these little black flakes on me. So I started wearing the beanie for regardless if it's Star Wars related to what I'm recording or not. I just wear the beanie all the time now.
I actually just had to take a dress and it had pockets with that exact same problem. They were made of that same material.
Mhm.
And I looked down and I had black stuff all over my hands from just putting my hands in the pockets. So I went in, I'm like, do you have anything that would be better than this? Or like, we have a lot that's better than that piece of crap. And also joining us, I didn't think that the robot takeover was going to happen in Canada, but here we are. Mr. David Wright. Hello. How are you doing?
Don't be so impressed by this technological terror you've created. Its destructive powers are insignificant compared to that of a rampaging toddler.
How is the family? How are the kids? How are they doing?
Oh, yeah, very, very active. Yeah, I'm on baby duty tonight again.
Aw, okay. So if we hear any crying, then we should alert Dorian that the return of the Phantom baby.
Yep.
Understood. Okay, so yes, we are going back to the world of Star Wars. We are talking Andor Season 2. You guys were with me when we discussed Andor Season 1 over 2 years ago. Took a while for this to get going and come back out. Andor, developed by Tony Gilroy, is the set piece that takes place before Rogue One, as we see the life of Cassian Andor, played by Diego Luna, as he is essentially drafted into the rebellion and how he grows from just a simple thief into a captain who is going to be instrumental in helping get the plans for the Death Star to the rebels and be the one that helps secure the first true battle for the rebellion, aka the Battle of Yavin, as they continuously remind us throughout the show. Constantly hear the gong of the bells, and it says BBY4. It's like 4 years for the Battle of Yavin. So we got a little ticking clock action going on here. So, like I said, we were all here when we talked about the first season. I think a lot of things, unfortunately, held up into this one. One of the main things we took away last time was that it was a very slow buildup. And I feel that this season, while it was a little better, still had a bit of a slow buildup. I think the first couple episodes, with the exception of the focus on the wedding, which we'll get to, I felt that it was really kind of dragging its heels. Andrew, what do you think? Do you think that the pacing was better this year than last time, or what do you think?
I think it's very similar to the first season, where the first season you understood why they did. If you remember, they did that 3-episode premiere for the first season, and it was very clear. Like, yeah, we had for episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, like it would feel like such a drag, so they kind of just threw it all out there just to get it out of the way. This time, it made more sense that they're doing it. They did 3-episode weekly drops because it's all like self-contained arcs. Mm-hmm. That first one for the first week, the first 3 with him stealing the TIE Avenger and us seeing where everybody else is on Mina Rao and stuff, all that. I thought it was paced well. The one that felt very slow for me was the second arc, the second week. That one for me, when they're talking or when they're already doing all the stuff before the massacre, but they're kind of establishing the Imperial presence on on Gorman.
Mhm.
That one felt slower to me, but I think the first 3 episodes I thought they were paced well, and then the last 6 are just like off to the races. So that's where I'm at.
Definitely. Speaking of Gorman, David, I know you were a fan of Star Wars Rebels because thank God you knew more about it when we talked to Ahsoka and you were able to save my ass because I hadn't seen it. Gorman was discussed in Rebels as the catalyst that had Mon Mothma quit the Senate and join the rebellion officially. When you heard Gorman, did you recognize it? Did you know what was did you have an idea? It's like you heard, it's like, oh boy, this is not gonna end well. Did you catch that or?
Short answer is no. Most of my Rebels knowledge comes from just clips off of YouTube. So
Okay.
none of said clips really mention Gorman at all. I mean, I kind of figured that it was not going to end well because of the way the show was. And spoiler alert, the Death Star was going to get built.
Mm-hmm. Spoilers for an over 40-year-old movie.
Yeah, but I did find the pacing so much better this season. Like last season, it took about 10 episodes for the action to get going. This one, like they had to be at the first episode.
Definitely. Although I swear to God, the minute Cassian climbs into that TIE fighter and it goes backwards, did anyone else hear Daffy Duck go, oops, have the silly thing in reverse?
Have the silly thing in reverse, yeah.
I was like, tell me I'm not the only one who thought that.
Yeah, with my aviation background, I was like, that totally would not have happened. There, no way. But it's a show. I'm not going to get too bad. But yeah, anytime they take any of the EU TIE fighter models from the game, that's the quickest way to get to my heart.
Oh, definitely. I do love that he got sealed in and he had to basically like shoot enough of the door out of him. So it's just like, close it up, boom, burst through the
It reminded me of the carnival game where you got to shoot out the star kind of thing with the
yes. Oh my God, yes.
with the little BB gun.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, who inverted the throttle axis on this thing? That was stupid.
I love how unorthodox the ship is. Kind of like when he goes in, he can't find the seat, and it's like folded backwards or something like that. It's like right in the center, folded backwards, and like you could tell that like none of the information he got beforehand like was like relevant or even like up to date with what the actual like systems were. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, like if he was masquerading as a test pilot, he would have had access to like all the relevant documentation. But again, TV show.
He even says when he's essentially hot wiring, he's like, I don't know how to fly the ship. Okay, you didn't tell me how to fly the ship. It's like, how am I supposed to steal a ship if you don't tell me how to fly the stupid thing?
Yeah, those things tend to be pretty standardized.
Well, because it's like a prototype model, right? I think it probably wasn't like the regular configuration, I imagine.
At the risk of making this the TIE fighter discussion as the lightsaber discussion was for the previous Star Wars podcast, let's just move on. Because seriously, I could do this all night. Like let's just go. Like I was happy. TIE Avenger, TIE Advanced, great. Happy to see it. Awesome.
Fair point. The first 3 episodes are also tied together as we see the other characters. This is still an ensemble cast, just like it was the first season. But the main plot that's actually going through the first 3 episodes has nothing to do with Cassian. It's actually following Mon. Side notes, someone please tell me if I accidentally say Mothra like last time. I am going to try so damn hard to make sure I don't screw that up again.
It's fine.
That Mon Mothma has arranged for the wedding of her daughter. We saw them being introduced in the last season. Essentially, she was agreeing to betroth her daughter to this sleazy guy's son to get access to his money to help fund the rebellion. And I guess things went well enough that the wedding is now going on. And geez, I thought like Italian Catholic weddings went on forever. This thing is 3 freaking days of celebration and tradition and a hike up a mountain for a blessing. And I'm just watching it go. It's like, I will never complain about any of the Catholic weddings I had to shoot ever again.
I'm not sure. I think Indian weddings are like 3 or 4 days as well.
Yeah, they can go pretty long. Like, yeah, I think there's some Indians watching that going, why so short?
Probably. I do like some of the traditions they threw in, like the scene during the actual ceremony when the daughter's braid is cut. Remind me a lot of the scene in the Genndy Tartakovsky Clone War series where Anakin has his braid sliced off as a saying, it's like, you are no longer a Padawan, you are now a Jedi. So you kind of have to wonder if there is a kind of a correlation between the early practices of the Jedi and the traditions of Sandrilla. I've heard like five.
Right the first time.
Yeah, it's like I've heard like 5 pronunciations of this planet's name. So
Yeah, I really have to give them great credit for how they handled a lot of the rituals and the world building in this season. Like they avoided the pitfall that I've seen a lot of writers Star Trek fall into, where it's like you have to explain every damn thing like it's an episode of The Big Bang Theory where Sheldon has to keep a secret. And it's just like, please stop explaining to me how this works. I don't need to understand the whole religion. Like, it's just, no, you guys are terrible at writing this stuff. It's just like, we know that it's a wedding. We know that there are rituals. They don't have to explain like why everyone's stepping in and out of the circle and to the side and all that. She's like, we get it. Ritual, father giving away. She cuts the braid. Okay, it's severing her link with her daughter. Symbolism. Got it. Good. Next scene.
absolutely. And like I said, there were a lot of cool little, I don't want to call them Easter eggs, but they're little things that you caught on that you could probably sort of figure out yourself. Again, the braid, that's what I was thinking about with the Jedi. Like the idea that's like stepping into the ring, like stepping into my family's circle kind of a thing. I also noticed a really interesting repeat in the set design, especially with Chandrilla's and circles. Most of their architecture is very round. They have circular doors, circular rooms. It all seems to revolve around that, in a high contrast to the Empire, which has a very brutalist style architecture with a lot of straight, bold lines and just very straight squares and rectangles and triangles. So again, sort of noticing an interesting contrast between the two. The Chandrillas, which seem to live more amongst nature and feel more at peace in their surroundings, as opposed to the Empire, which is take over the surroundings and take over their environment, as it were.
Yeah. Well, when you look at the Imperial stuff, it's very utilitarian because it has a job to do. This, I'm pretty sure Palpatine's like summer villa on Naboo has lots of rounded things and it's all nice and pretty, but that's not his office.
Very true.
There was kind of a theming with that too in that first arc, those first 3 episodes. With you mentioned the circles, there was also when they're doing the Imperial briefing up in the snowy mountains. They're talking about an inner circle, and there's also later in the I'm trying to remember if I think it's before that too, where Cassian when he's talking to the defector before he takes over the ship. About being part of an inner circle too, about another separate circle. So it was like a lot of circle themes going on in those first 3 episodes.
Speaking of that little retreat where we see the Empire discussing the attack on Gorman, I love the symbolism parallels to World War II in this season. And that session in the mountains is a clear parallel to, what is it called? The Wannsee Convention, the Nazi convention where the Nazis got together to plan the final solution literally over a business lunch.
I never seen the movie, but I heard about. I think there's I heard people mention a movie that's about that. I guess the whole movie, it covers the lunch or the little business meeting. I haven't seen it, but yeah, I heard people talking about that, and I thought that was kind of on the nose, kind of, but yeah.
Well, one thing that I think the show does incredibly well is sort of the whole banality of evil thing, where the Empire, it's not like a bunch of Saturday morning cartoon villains, it's just a bunch of people doing their jobs.
Absolutely.
And how it sort of humanizes them. I mean, we'll get more into that later. But yeah, like it's just like you like I saw a picture of it. It's like here's like a company office picture. Oh, who are these people? Oh, they are the administrative staff at Auschwitz, and it just looks like a bunch of people. Like there's the secretaries, there's the managers, and it's nothing there looks like this. These people are overseeing one of the greatest acts of mass murder in history. It's just
Very much. There was a film that was nominated for Best Picture, I think about 2 years ago, called The Zone of Interest.
Yeah.
That we talked about on our Oscars podcast, and it discussed the family that lived next door to Auschwitz. The commander, he and his family lived in a very nice little house that was literally right next to the death camp. And it was just bizarre. It's this beautiful house, beautiful little garden, and it's like, oh, and over the wall is the screaming death of the Jewish people. Yay!
Yeah. I mean, since we're talking about Chandrila and Gorman right now, I do have to give absolute massive credit to the production design on this show.
Oh, definitely.
Like I remember hearing a story that George Lucas, he came up to the original costume designer for the original Star Wars and talking about the Imperial uniforms, and he said, like, I'm going to give you an incredibly difficult job. I want you to make Nazi uniforms, but not. And then just sort of like, it has to evoke, fascism, totalitarianism, a la Nazi, but not be too obvious. And that is a really hard thing to get. And I think that the production design in the show, not so much with the uniforms, I mean, that's already, been done by original Star Wars, but like the Chandrila, like obviously it's very Asian influenced.
Oh, very.
The architecture and costumes, but it's not so like, it feels like its own thing. It doesn't feel like, oh, we're all just wearing kimonos here, and the same thing with Gorman, where obviously the parallels to like occupied France are there, but it doesn't feel like occupied France. Like, they do a really, really great job of just riding that line, and it's so hard to get right.
Very, because when I watched Gorman, I was very much so reminded, especially because the language of the Gormans feels like an interesting blend of French, Italian, and German. You kind of pick up all three of those.
Yeah.
So, and obviously, it's like it's a planet of weavers. They're artisans. It's like, yeah, that's freaking Paris. Paris was never the city of fighters. Yeah, it was the House of Fashion. It's where they mention when Cassian's going undercover. It's like, you are an apprentice designer. You're going to Gorman as a rite of passage. A lot of professional artists, costume designer, clothing designers, chefs. Going and studying in Paris is a rite of passage. It's just like, you're going to go there and train for a few months. That's what they do. And you're right I love your input about the Nazi uniforms versus the Stormtrooper uniforms, David. And then, of course, Zack Snyder said, I can make those even more Nazi-ish. I'm sorry. I had to bring that up because when we cut to the scene of the rebels hiding out on the farm planet and I saw all the grain, I got, oh God, I'm having Rebel Moon flashbacks.
Yeah, except for all the color.
Yes.
What's wrong with the sky? It's blue. It's not another shade of brown.
Again, we get a lot of development with these characters. Bix, who has gone through so much in the first season, is dealing with horrible PTSD. She's having night terrors. You have a scene where she is literally walking in her sleep and she's got her blaster out, and Cassian has come up behind her. It's like, it's okay. You're dreaming. Put the gun down. I mean, how would you react if you woke up in the middle of the night and your wife was just standing in the middle of another room holding a weapon out at an imaginary person? What would you think about something like that?
Yeah. In all honesty, first thought, oh, good, it's not me. Yeah, then it would be like general concern for her well-being. Yes.
Good way to put it. Not to mention, the whole scene with them on the farming plant also hits close to home because they talk a lot about the undocumented workers, illegal workers. And those of us in America, this is something that's really hitting home. We have our government coming after undocumented workers. We have a lot of them who are here on temporary work permits. They're just trying to, make a little money, and our government is using them right now as a scapegoat, and they're coming after them. And it's becoming very, very hard for farms to stock their staff, because a lot of them they're looking for these temporary workers, and the temporary workers are saying, we're not going to stay here that long. We don't want to get caught.
Yeah, I have family in the Central Valley here in California, and it's like for For those who don't know, the Central Valley, California is kind of like the breadbasket for most of the country. It's where a lot of vegetation, a lot of the fruits and vegetables, tomatoes, almonds, stuff like that's grown here. And I have people in my extended family who, when they started hearing about those, I don't know if you guys have seen that ad about turning yourself in if you're undocumented. I don't know if.
Oh my God!
This is what I'm talking about. But like,
yeah, the one
asking.
I've seen it followed by the picture of Admiral Akbar. Okay, let's just put it that way.
And so these family members have like not like they avoided going to work for like a couple weeks, and like we heard the stories about like production stalling and not being able to grow or not pick up certain crops because people were scared to go to work. And so it's the stuff with Amina Rao with them going around and warning like, oh, like the Imperials they checked this camp or they checked this section today, and like that kind of hit home. I mean, not for me personally, but like that this I feel like I've heard this before in real life, like in a different way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I think they keep it general enough that it's not any particular thing. Like, it could also be, like them rounding up, looking for Jewish families in Germany, or it wasn't specifically like it is current day issue. I mean, it could apply to current day issues, and I think that's the brilliance of making something that's timeless.
Definitely. Did we want to talk any more about the wedding, or shall we move past that? Because I know a lot of people are saying, so when the heck is the wedding music going to be on Spotify?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of mixes on YouTube. I mean, it is a good song.
Oh yeah,
and just a fantastic scene at like the end of that episode. I love that shot of like when Luthen's walking after he's decided that he's going to have to kill the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And just the look on his face and the way that the camera is just like right next to his face, and he's just walking around the outside of the party, and everyone's just cutting loose on the dance floor. It's like watching a shark going through a goldfish bowl. It's amazing. And the way that they've got Mon Mothma just trying to just drink and party away the fact that she just condoned getting her best friend executed and failing at dealing with it, not failing at the execution. But it's just that was one of the high points of the show for me, I think, just in terms of like great storytelling.
I love the line she exchanged with Luthen right before that, where he's asking like what's going on, and she brings him up to speed about what's going. Like he's like following them as they walk on the opposite sides of the dining area, and she brings him up to speed about how he's like asking, he's in the financial dire straits. And he basically implies like, we're gonna have to like do something about it. And she's like, what do you mean? And then he says something along the lines of like, oh, she says I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, oh, that must be good, nice for you. Like, basically saying like, I don't have to dirty my hands. And you just continue with your public persona of just being like the diplomat and stuff. So I really like that exchange. And as soon as we see Cinta show up and she goes in the car with him and like, oh, you're not my usual driver. He's like, oh yeah, I called in or something. And I'm like, oh no, like bye Tacoma. We'll see you.
Sorry, Jay.
Yeah. And they don't show you what it's actually like the deed itself. You just know that that happens, and then 1 year later it's like, oh, okay, like that's it. Yeah, but it certainly goes into the whole. Like the original Star Wars, of course, is a very simple morality tale. Like, the bad guys are all bad, the good guys are all good. And this sort of shows more like, historically, that's not really how these things work. I mean, yes, like you can certainly say one side is the bad side, but even on the good guy side, you have to do some pretty horrible things, and it eats away at you to achieve your goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, Luthen talks Luthen talks a lot about that. He talks about how he's burned. I burned my soul for a sunrise that I'll never see.
Yeah, that's the Oscar line.
He knows he's not going to get out of this alive. He knows he is not going to see the end of the
condemned to use the weapons of his enemies, which political assassination, that's definitely one of the Empire's weapons.
It's those are good questions. Like, how far do you go down that path? At what point do you become the very thing you're seeking to fight against? And like, those are questions that we're still wrestling with to this day.
I also love Also a parallel also to when Mon Mothma starts dancing is it's a parallel to what we see with the rich, the upper class. We have seen throughout season 1 and now into season 2 the way the Empire keeps the rich and the upper class docile. They keep throwing these luxury parties. They keep having fun. They just throw all this comfort at the rich and the upper class. There's a scene where they're talking about, I can't even remember what they were celebrating, but it's some kind of big party week for the Empire, and they're talking about, okay, I want to know which parties you're going to and what you're going to see, and it's almost sounds like they're talking about
investiture week. I think that's what it's called.
Something like that.
Yeah,
no idea what the hell that even means.
It's like for the incoming class of senators. Yeah, like it's like 100 parties or 100 senators or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but the way they're talking about it, you'd swear it's like, okay, either Fashion Week or the governor's ball after the Oscars or something.
There's a great scene about that too, where if you remember with the rebels on Yavin that Andor runs into, the ones that take him hostage, where they're like chopping up I don't know if it's like a coconut or some kind of like vegetable, and they say like it smells bad, and like they start tasting it, and then it immediately cuts to the scene where the Imperials are after the meeting, they're like they have this like charcuterie board set up or whatever, and they're kind of big chunky like admirals in general are kind of just like picking up the food, and it's like right after seeing those guys like I'm not even sure we can eat this thing. There's just like that great contrast. Back to what you were talking about, Alexis.
Yeah, I was so expecting them to get dysentery.
Maybe.
Yeah, because they've got the melons. The other side's got those little food packets. Pretty similar, I think, to what we see Rey cooking with in The Force Awakens. And they say flat out, it's like, that looks like mold. Pretty sure those have gone bad. And there's things like, is it worth trying out to see if it is mold? Are we that hungry? Although I'm not going to lie, the Maya Pay Brigade, I know the idea is that they're uncoordinated, they're unfocused, they haven't had like proper food in days, and their main leader is gone. But I was so glad when they started getting eaten by those beasts. It's just like, wow, you guys are just, you're doomed. You're doomed to fail, you know?
Yeah. It's nice to show that not everyone is competent.
But that also does parallel to what Luthen and Organa and Mothma are trying to do. They're trying to connect these cells. We see what happens with these cells if they are not linked to the bigger rebellion, and that's the Maya Pay Brigade. And they just flounder because they don't know what to do. They're ready to fight, but they have no idea of how they're supposed to go about it. They're stuck on this planet, and my dog won't shut up. I'm sorry about that.
There's like no real like chain of command or discipline or anything. They're kind of just winging it.
I think a real theme of this season is its sacrifice. Every character has to sacrifice something, and we see if they are not willing to sacrifice it, something else is going to take their place. We see that when the rebels try to escape the grain planet because Willman just has to say goodbye to his girlfriend. And because of that, another rebel ends up losing his life. We have Cinta and Vel, who say that they will only work on the rebellion if they can work together. And unfortunately, it results in Cinta's death because one rebel just couldn't, keep the gun. You just had to bring a gun when they said no blasters. No one else bring blasters, but no, he just had to bring it. What do you think, David? What do you think about the ideas of sacrifice in season 2 of Andor?
It's certainly there. I don't think it's like in every single episode, but definitely in the first quarter, I think that's where it shows up the largest. Whereas I think second is more just the lead up to Gorman, and then obviously it's pulling the trigger in the third part, and then the fourth is the aftermath.
Well, the Massacre at Gorman was so beautifully handled. Again, there is a 1966 film called The Battle of Algiers that I honestly think Gilroy took a lot from for this scene, because it parallels it so beautifully, including down to the oppressive fighting force on the stairs and the way they open fire. And it's so tragic the way, again, these people want to fight. They want to stand up for what they believe in. And Cassian is told flat out, you guys have no idea what you're doing. They're not fighters. They're not military. They're a planet of artisans. They don't know how to fight the Empire. That's like, we want to stand and do what's right. It's like, yeah, good luck with that. And that the Empire actually sends in these untrained soldiers because they know that they're going to screw up and just unleash fire on these pedestrians is both a work of brilliance and unbelievably tragic.
I think it wasn't so much that they would screw up, it's that I think they're untrained and therefore they're expendable, really.
Yeah.
Probably a bit of both. They're expendable, and when placed in a high tension situation, the likelihood that they'll just explode and start shooting and creating panic is increased.
There was that really good scene when they arrive, when they get fresh off like the truck, and one of the recruits is like his hat is like not on properly, and so he has to like adjust. I don't remember if it's like not on properly or if it's too big for his head or it's not the right size or something
like that.
He's like adjusting it, and it's like you don't really ever see Imperials do that. So it's like he's just so green that he still has to get used to like the structure of how everything is done.
And again, I do like it how they show like people in the Empire, like in the military, who aren't like true believers in the oppression of the Empire. They're just like people with jobs or just trying to make their way in the world. Like when the on the grain planet, the lieutenant tries to do not very nice things to Bix, and the kid and she bashes his head in, and then the kid comes up to her to look, and you just see this kid. He's like, he has no idea what's going on or what to do with all of this. Like it's he's just like he probably just graduated like basic training at the academy, and he's just he's not some evil person. He's just just this kid trying to do his job and figure out what to do with this mess, and then they get shot. But that's neither here or there. It's they do a great job of showing the Empire is portrayed as a lot more diverse. You have like the evil scumbags, you have the kids just trying to get along, and just people trying to do their jobs, and it's great.
Yeah, we get that when Leida's husband, he's talking to Luthen overhears him mention about he's part of the Navy, and he's like, yeah, we're just fresh from training, like we're stationed here, like, and the way he speaks, it just seems like you don't really get any malice or any like kind of, it's like it's just a job, like that's basically what it is, and Luthen's like, where they being moved to, like he's like showing interest, he wants to know more about the movements.
he's gathering intelligence off of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like no, it's just friendly conversation, that's all.
Loose lips sink ships, guys.
Yeah, there's a great old propaganda cartoon from a Private Snafu one called Spies. It's actually written by Dr. Seuss. And it talks about, just they will pick up on the little things. The soldier says, like, I'm going to go on a trip. And it's like, hey, I'm going to be on a ship. Can I get some magazines to read? And he talks to this girl who's a spy. It's like, yeah, I hope the girls in Africa are as cute as you are. And they're able to put together everything that he said into a plan of attack. So, yeah, loose lips definitely sink ships. I want to talk briefly about our two main villains who have continued into the season. That is Cyril Khan and Dedra Miro, who take... First of all, how freaky is it that those two were actually living together as a romantic couple?
I can kind of see it. Like they both are very much believers in the Empire, for different reasons. Cyril does have somewhat a heroic streak in him. I mean, he's a big dork, but I also think that's kind of why Dedra likes him, in that he's not just another her. Because who wants to hang around with yourself the whole time? I mean, I do that enough as it is.
Well, Cyril's mother mentions that his father was an explorer and that he went off. So I think that kind of works to Cyril, because I think he wants to be a hero. I think he wants to go on adventures, sort of, and prove himself. He wants to do this for the Empire, but I don't think he's happy just being a drone. I think he wants those big assignments and the big adventures, and that's part of why he was so happy to go to Gorman and take this assignment.
Yeah, but his problem is he's a dork, so he's not really good at it. And
Yeah.
that's why he ended up working private security instead of being in like any imperial organization. That was the best he could do. I mean, it doesn't say that in the show, but you can just kind of tell from the setup and the character. Also, like, I'm pretty sure he just said, like, what is the farthest place away from my mother I can be? like, what does it say that we basically have, like, attempted sexual assault in that triple episodes, and the dinner with the mother was the most uncomfortable part?
Definitely some truth to that.
I love when he's bringing on the new employee, the new hire at his where he used to work in the cubicles, and he's like talking about, like, he's like, you get out of this job what you put into it and stuff, and he talks about how he devoted a little bit of time each day of work towards like this overall project, and how he like pulled it off, and it was like such an amazing thing for him, and the guy just looks so like bored to tears, like, okay, like...
yeah the pride in that was fantastic.
I just love that 90% of his dialogue before he starts talking about that little story is verbatim to what he was told when he first went in there.
Like, I get to do it now.
yeah well, except now he actually has like a good story for like how it can actually be exciting.
Cyril is interesting because we actually do see him. I don't want to say go 180 because he's still an imperialist, but he does come to his senses at the Battle of Gorman. Yeah, he says that he was sent there to look for agitators.
Yeah, little did he know he was the agitator.
Exactly, the agitators were the Empire. And we see him standing in that beautiful shot, all the mask around him, and he's just standing there, taking it in like it's like that scene in the opening of Saving Private Ryan where Tom Hanks sees everything in slow-mo around him on the beach.
Yeah.
And it really does hit him. It's like, these people did not deserve this. This should not have happened. He's an imperialist, but he knows right from wrong.
Yeah, like I once listened to an interview with an undercover cop. I think he was in the UK, like trying to bust drug rings and stuff. And he said, like, the hardest part of the job, the worst thing is betraying people. Like, not everyone you meet when you're undercover is like some horrible scumbag who should be locked up. There's, vulnerable people that take you into their confidence, and as your job, you have to exploit that to get the information you need. And, that moment where that person who's a very vulnerable person who trusted you finds out that all this time you were betraying them, like that's the bit that just sucks the life out of you. In Cyril's case, like he was an unwitting pawn. Like he knew he was doing an intelligence operation, but he didn't know that the objective was basically the destruction of Gorman. He thought it was we're protecting them from rebel insurgency taking over or whatnot. So yeah, well, there's sort of this semi-related scene where they're talking with like the leader of the Gorman resistance, and he's like, we need to show the Emperor what's happening here. Like, I thought that was just a wonderful line, where it just sort of shows like the people living in the Empire, they don't see the Empire itself as evil at this point. And little does he know, and little does Cyril know, that the Emperor is behind this all. Like, this is like his personal project. I even love that line when they're in the meeting is, any security breaches will be directly brought to the personal attention of the Emperor. It's like, oh, this shit is real. So you kind of see like the bit where he confronts Deidre in the office, and she says like, this is, these orders come straight from the Emperor. Like, that just, what a gut punch to find out that, this isn't a rogue element. This is the core of the Empire here.
He straight up just assaults her too. He just goes straight for the he just like attack. I'm like, I didn't know Cyril had that in him. Like, he just went right at her.
Well, remember, he did like have some combat training and experience from his private security gig. I mean, that ended in disaster.
I meant like, I know he had it in him to like attack her specifically like that.
Yeah, wasn't she also almost choked in the oh my god, Ferrix, I can't remember the
Yeah.
planet that. Wasn't she almost choked during that battle? So I think he kind of knew. It's like he knew she was going to respond
she's
to
on
that.
she's on the ground, and they're like trying to attack her, right? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and he saved her, which is kind of why she was like, okay, fine, I'll throw you a pity date. And now they're living together. I think he kind of knew. It's like, I know this is going to get a reaction out of you, and I know you don't like it.
Yeah, I thought it was more just angry passion, like seeing the people that trusted him, that he called friends and tried to help, turn on him with such viciousness.
Yeah,
understandably so, and him coming to grips with like, oh, wait a minute, things are not the way I thought they were.
It also shows just how much the Empire has been hiding and desperately trying to get all of the elements for the Death Star. We found out in season 1 that the amazing sequence in the prison, and we find out that the prisoners were essentially slave labor building connectors for the panels for that. And they talk about how they're mining all this, and they're saying apparently the lie is it's for some kind of energy project.
Unlimited power initiative.
Unlimited power. Yeah, we all made that joke.
Yeah, it's like, because dude, like every planet has like massive sci-fi generators that create unlimited energy. I mean, look at Naboo. Like, I don't think that there's an energy crisis in this galaxy far, far away. Like we solved that one.
But yeah, the attack on Gorman is for the mineral, which is they say flat out, it's like they want to use it to coat the reactor
with the lens.
Yeah, and they say it's like we haven't been able to find anything else. There is no other reason that they want to get rid of this planet. So it's like we need something to coat the lens of the Death Star. This planet needs to be wiped out. All these people need to be clean or killed, because
or relocated, I think, was the preferable option. But if not, well.
Yeah. Well, we've seen before that the Empire has no qualms about wiping people out before.
Well, I mean, they're literally building a planet-destroying super weapon, so yeah. But I do like a bit that they do establish that they tried to find an alternative and they didn't. It wasn't. This wasn't Plan A. This was like Plan C, but it needed so much lead time on it that they had to go in and prep thing and stoke the fires just in case. And it was only at the end where they, okay, yeah, we don't have any other option. It has to be this stuff. So go ahead.
Yeah, I think they said that with the trying to cause like a plague or even blaming like a natural disaster had like too many variables or too many things they couldn't like account for. So it was like this just straight out just destroy it, just destabilize the planet.
Yeah, and it was cool because like Gorman is not like a backwater planet. Like if the mineral they needed was on Jakku, then who cares? Like just go in and carpet bomb it. This is more like we need to like basically frack the heck out of France.
Pretty much.
Complain.
Yeah, this is, guess what? There's oil underneath the Eiffel Tower. You all gonna die.
Well, I mean, the Eiffel Tower already looks pretty much like an oil rig. So,
I know, right?
that's a pretty easy modification to make.
But it is kind of, I don't want to say baffling, but I think it is scary just the lengths that the Empire goes, not only to build the Death Star, but also to keep it under wraps. They cannot let anyone know this is what they're doing. They cannot let anyone know it's like, oh, this is what they really wanted on Gorman. They have to hide that as much as possible. I think back to, okay, someone help me. The name of the planet at the end of Attack of the Clones with the weird bug creatures.
Geonosis.
Geonosis. It is canon that the Empire carpet bombed Geonosis after whatever the Geonosians are Geonosians, I guess, the walking crickets designed the Death Star, because it was like, we cannot let it get out that this is what we're doing. So they killed this entire race.
Yeah. I think as a Clone Wars or in Bad Batch, one of those two, where they find like a queen, like a queen that's been like preserved or saved or something, and they
it's one of the CGI shows. I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember which one it is, but like basically she's able to kind of restart the entire like race all over again. in like secret though, in secret like underground or something. So yeah.
And all of that, and the Empire has all these people saying it was an insurgency, and the Gormans started it, and you have the senators saying, you know, it's like, we want to honor our fallen comrades who were killed at, and yeah, sorry, this is the Republicans defending January 6th all over. I don't like talking current politics in Star Wars.
It's hard not to.
Yeah, it is really hard not to see the parallels, okay? I don't want to turn this into an anti-Trump podcast. I don't. But you see, you know, parallels like this, and you hear the one senator saying, "Oh, we lost a soldier in Gorman." It's talking about the one guy who was there that day, and it's like, we are outraged. I'm like, an entire planet was just freaking killed. All these people were killed, and it's just so infuriating, you know. And then you see the parallels to the real world and what we've been going through, and it's hard. It's so hard not to look at that and not to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, going further back to that first arc where Krennic introduces the two guys from the Department of Enlightenment. That's what they're called. Their propaganda arm, which made me kind of audibly chuckle because it's very similar to the Nazis. I think it was Department of something and Enlightenment as well. It's called the same thing. And they're kind of like, oh yeah, like the Gormans are very like hoity-toity. They think they're like so much better than everyone because of their silk, and they quick like they like spin, like they have like all these different, they come up with like different reasons about like, oh, like they never played with the Empire, like we had all these issues with them before. Like we can quickly like spin a narrative around this, even to the point where Krennic was like, okay guys, like settle down, we get it right? So yeah, like
the bit where Krennic cuts them off, is like even he can't take much of these
exactly
guys.
Yeah, he's like clearly know like, okay, we get it, like you can do this. And even like Cyril's mom, like she starts to fall for it to the point where even Cyril calls her out on it. He's like, oh, that's just like propaganda, or like that's just like propaganda or whatever. And of course he's doing it so that because he knows he's being bugged, right? So he wants to come across as like,
but he basically says the equivalent of "Mom, stop watching Fox News."
Yes, because look, when once that happens where Cyril's, you know, he's dead and she's watching the news with her boomer mom friends like all huddled around the TV, I was like, oh, like that's like one of my aunts who does the exact same thing.
But can we talk about how great Cyril's death was? That he sees Cassian, and it's literally the, oh god, hang on a second, where's the hang on a second, where's the damn clip here? There it is.
It was all me, James. It's always been me, the author of all your pain.
Couldn't resist. But yeah, he sees him, he attacks him. It's that just, there's no blasters, no weapons, just this giant fist fight, all this aggression. He's got the blaster pointing Cassian. Cassian goes, "Who are you?" He doesn't know who he is. He doesn't realize that this is the guy who's been hunting him for all these years. And it's just such a great scene. And Cyril lowers the gun for 1 second, and he gets a blaster to the back of the head.
I get too, because earlier in the episode when Cyril goes to Rylands, the head of the Gorman Liberation Front, and he's talking about like how like they started already landing like mining like equipment all over the planet, like we should have never trusted you. He even says like, he says it to him first earlier, like, who are you, like what kind of person are you, or something like that. And Cyril doesn't know how to respond, so he hears it again for the second time, like in the same day, and he's just like he's clearly lost or just in shock, like he doesn't even know. At least that's what I got. I wasn't sure if everyone got that, but I kind of got like this guy doesn't even recognize you, and this is like the second time, like he's kind of like a crisis point of like he doesn't even know exactly the empire he thought he was serving isn't the empire he thought he was serving, and these partisan friends he made with the Liberation Front, they don't know him after all, and he's just having a really, really bad mental health day.
Absolutely. But yeah, his death scene and that final fight with Cassian was so well done. I love just how all the blows landing, the way they're fighting each other while all the guns are blaring outside. You forget for a split second all of the death and destruction outside as you watch these two men have a crazy fist fight, and one of them has no idea why the hell this other guy's beating the shit out of him. All right. Let's go ahead and take a break talking about Gorman, though, because let's talk about the real ire that brought out the fans, the one that just is unforgivable. They recasted Bail Organa.
That wasn't that big of a deal, I thought.
I didn't think it was either, but people went nuts.
I did not hear about that at all. Also, hey, good for Benjamin Bratt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like him a lot. I was happy to see. Actually, the whole thing was, I guess there was just scheduling issues where they just could not get Jimmy Smits at all. He just, well, I don't know what he's doing exactly. Who knows if he's filming something or whatever, but like they just could not line it up. I think it was during the whole like writer strike or whatever that strike that was going on. I believe, I don't know for sure that's the reason they weren't able to get him, because obviously Benjamin Bratt had no qualms about joining, but there was something going on where they just.
Fun fact: most actors will work for money.
They could just not. Oh, did you guys see that interview where he said one of the reasons why he accepted the role was because he wanted to say "May the Force be with you"? Like he's like that's always been a dream of his. So, like knowing he got to.
Fair enough.
Go ahead.
Fair enough. No art. It kind of reminds me of the scene in the 2016 Ghostbusters when Paul Rudd opens up the ghost trap and he actually goes, "I have always wanted to do this." I'm like, that wasn't in the script. That's just Paul Rudd saying he's always wanted to operate one of those.
Well, I like the story about Ewan McGregor making lightsaber sounds on set.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like for the last time, Ewan, we add those.
We add those. Yeah.
we had those in post. I know.
He just couldn't stop. He's just Ewan McGregor is once again a 10-year-old boy with a stick in his backyard pretending that he's a Jedi Knight.
Method acting. There you go.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love that story. No,
I did a good job though. I like Benjamin Bratt's Bail Organa, especially later on in the last arc. I thought I could easily just swap in Jimmy Smits's face and like this would all completely make sense still. Like it's still, I thought he did a great job actually.
Not to mention, they both look a lot alike. I think Jimmy Smits has a slightly longer face, a little bit of a longer nose. But yeah, I love Benjamin Bratt. I've never seen him in anything. I thought, oh my God, what the hell are you doing here? Catwoman was not his fault. And I thought he was perfectly fine as Bail Organa. So I don't know why so many fans freaked out about it. It's like, sorry guys, sometimes scheduling conflicts happen.
Yeah.
All right, so talk about going over my notes here. Got a couple of pages worth here, and I actually love that I wrote in episode 9. All I wrote was "Yay, Alan Tudyk."
Yep.
Because if you've ever recorded with me or you've seen any of my other shows, you know that I think Alan Tudyk is the equivalent of bacon. That you just add him to anything and it makes it better. He's one of my favorites.
Pretty much.
For the record, be sure to come back later this summer. Mark Radulich and I will be talking season 4, I think it is, of Resident Alien. Cannot wait to get back to that. I love that show.
Is he in that show?
He's the lead.
Oh, okay. Oh.
But
I don't like that show.
I love his return as K2SO. I love the snark. I just love it. Is such a good performance and it's so much fun. And it actually reminds me so much. Have you guys heard the story of when Alan Tudyk first met Anthony Daniels?
No.
No.
Okay, so they met on the set of Rogue One because C-3PO makes a cameo appearance, and I guess they were. I think they were at the craft table, and Tudyk is just in awe. It's like, oh my God, you're C-3PO. I'm the droid in this one, and Anthony looks at him and goes, "You're doing motion capture, yeah. So you don't actually. It's like you're just in the mocap suit." Because people need to remember Anthony Daniels had to wear that plastic on him. And there are horror stories in his biography. He talks about how they would screw it in too tight. And he got screws poking him in every crevice of his body. There was no decent padding at the time. And he had to put up with it.
Yeah.
Just looked it out. It's like, you asshole. Because Alex, that's it.
Jeez, man, I'm sorry I was born later than you.
Oh, still, I just love the idea. Just that was his first impression of him.
Yeah.
But yes, I love seeing K2SO come back. I love his sense of humor. I love how dry it is. I love when they go back to Coruscant and they leave him in the ship, and he's literally like a toddler, just like just being left behind. Although,
my favorite was him walking up to go save them, and the Imperial officer's like, "Are you with us?" No.
Smack. That does actually beg the question, though. Why did the Emperor stop using droids? Because these K droids, as we see during the Battle of Gorman, they're pretty damn handy. Why did they stop using
terrifying? They're terrifying. They're just they don't even have weapons. They're just tossing people just across like spaces, and it's like a Terminator. It's really terrifying.
I'm going with like they didn't have the budget back when they made the original Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Sorry. But it's a bit of a pet peeve of mine when people start like lore mining. It's like, look, guys, it's a movie. Like they didn't have the time. Like I saw a video like, why wasn't the U-wing used at the Battle of Endor? It's like because they hadn't come up with the U-wing because they didn't need a transport for that film. They had a budget. They already blew all their budget on special effects before they even filmed one frame of the movie. Like it's a movie, guys. Well, why does the original Enterprise look like it's all cardboard and silly putty? Because that's what it was. Because it was the 60s. They had no money.
You're not wrong. It's just a thought I have because watching them toss people around and the way that I'm guessing that they just throw them so hard that their backs or necks break.
Yeah,
I think.
But
just watching it was like, Jesus. Why the hell do you need stormtroopers? These guys are way more accurate. You should have just been
way more
building
effective.
them.
Oh, when the one just like kicks the barricade through the mob and gore, that was just like, whoa, ouch. Yeah, like opening move. We're not playing around.
Especially because we saw that K2SO was pretty strong, very reliable in Rogue One, but I don't think we had seen the full spectrum of how powerful those droids were. Yeah. So when we saw it, when Cyril gets put in that little waiting room with the droids and the ones looking at him, I think we all said, future K2SO. Yeah. I think we all knew it. But I don't think we knew just how powerful those droids were. And it's kind of scary.
Yeah, so, well, I think that's the point, is that they're weapons of intimidation. Like, it's scary. Because, like, we've seen battle droids before, and you just put guns on them and just like, okay, yay, more guns. But when they're actually going along like kicking barricades into people and throwing them against walls, that's the personal touch.
Well, even like in season 1 when Cassian's on the beach, right, and he gets held up by the neck by one of those, right? So like they're just they don't even need weapons; they are the weapon.
Pretty much, they're just giant walking golems. So we talked about Cyril. Let's go ahead and talk about Dedra, who really decided. Yeah, it's interesting to me that both she and Cassian repeatedly throughout the season try to take matters into their own hands. Cassian frequently ignores orders. I mean, how many times did he break from the rules and just like, I gotta go rescue a friend? And he's so damn lucky that it worked out for him. Whereas Dedra does the same. She says, no, I want to be the one to bring in access, and it ends up blowing up in her face and she ends up in a jail cell.
Yeah, it's like, why are these rebels so bad at following orders?
Put that on a t-shirt, please.
Yeah. Well, it's like in the Canadian government here, like we have a multi-party system, so whoever has the most votes of any party, well, most seats, I should say, they become the government. And the number 2 party, they become the official opposition. So, like, their job is basically to debate the government. So, they kind of sometimes get painted as a bit of like, a negative Nancy. It's like, why are you always saying bad things about the government? It's like, I'm the leader of the official opposition. It's our job.
Yeah. Here we have the minority. It's the minority leader. Yeah, that's how it works. Same thing.
Yeah, it's a similar idea, but yeah, it's but that's an official position. But yeah, back to Dedra. But yeah, Cassian, it's like drama, rebellion, all that kind of thing. Dedra, it's a bit more interesting because she's more, she just can't let go of that
axis,
that job.
Absolutely. I think it's also important to know it's never said, but we really don't see many female members of the Empire in high-ranking positions. In that scene that in the where they're talking about taking out Gorman, she's the only woman in that room. She's the only one there. I feel that she does have an extra incentive in that to prove herself. But she kind of lies to herself about that. I mean, she tells the one guy, it's like, you can have the glory of taking Axis down. That's bullshit. She wants the glory. If she didn't want the glory, she wouldn't have gone full tilt ahead, because she was just so determined to capture Luthen. To her, it wasn't just capturing him. It was, I want to be there when he knows he's caught. I want to be the one to see the light go out in his eyes when I hand over that one computer box thing that I know was actually
module or something. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I know that was what was in the first season, and that's what Cassian was stealing for Luthen, and that's what the Empire took back, and that kind of set a catalyst. So pulling that out, it was like, yeah, full circle. And she just wanted that. She wanted to be there and see that. It's like, if she had just followed protocol and not done that.
She did you listen to the detail where the guy who's actually assigned to Axis, the one that used to work for her, Hirt, she's like, you waited till my day off. Like, she literally waited till he wasn't even like in office to pull the raid. That's how ambitious she was. She waited till he had his day off.
I mean, you work hard on something, you want to be there for the results.
Right.
Yeah, but because of that, because she went in to taunt him, he gets the drop on her and commits suicide, essentially, and they never get a word out of him, and Orson Krennic just tears into her.
Oh, I love that scene. So good.
I do. I love Ben Mendelsohn. He plays a villain so well. And I especially love the framing of that scene.
Did you see that meme? There's a meme going around with that Simpsons one where the guy's like that's how you do that to his kid. And it's Andor season 2 as a parent, and then it's Secret Invasion for the kid. It's like, that's how you use Ben Mendelsohn.
Yes, it is. But that, I love the frame, the scene when he's standing behind her. She's centered in the screen. He's behind her. His eyes are right there. They're cut out. And he's poking down at her head. And she's just got this terrified look on her face. Oh my God, that scene is so beautifully filmed.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know who was cinematographer there, but it's like whoever was cinematographer for that episode, bravo.
Yeah. Oh no, like him, he's saying like, go on, say it. And she's like, Death Star. So, yeah. But I don't think that was so much. Well, I mean, he's probably not happy that she got Luthen killed, but it was more that she accessed information that was classified, above her level, and because she had that on her computer when Luthen's mole hacked her account, that's how the knowledge of the Death Star escaped. If she had just stuck to her job, done the job she was assigned, none of this would have happened. And we know that she was not trying to leak the plans of the Death Star. She tried to get access, but
she got added to the signal chat.
Yeah, but fun fact about totalitarian regimes: they're not big on due process.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was just like, you have nothing that you can say right now to defend yourself. So I think you're guilty. So you're guilty. Take that.
We saw
For
that.
the record, sorry, Andrew. I was just going to say, you mentioned the signal chat. I know that this film was probably done filming by the time that fiasco happened. I am convinced they went back and added in. It's just like that quick shot of her saying that. It's like that again. The parallel is too perfect for that not to be what Did
you see that thing going around, Alexis, where people were saying like, I don't know why Republicans don't like Andor. Like the woman with the email leak went to jail.
Okay, that was pretty good.
That is good.
Yeah, but again, like you keep things general enough, you keep things rooted in like humanity and the big pictures, and they can apply to things for ages. Like, I know like you've been all on like how this is the Republicans and Trump. I can guarantee you there are people who are taking those same scenes and saying, see, that's totally like that's Pelosi and that's what the
I can
Democrats.
definitely see that. I can
You know,
definitely see that.
like there's. I mean, I'm not commenting on any of that. I don't want this to turn into a current events podcast.
Sure.
But but that is kind of the beauty of art in some ways, in that it when you do it right, when you do get at those core truths about humanity and the big things that we all have to work out, like you create something that is eternal. Whereas if it was just like, we had director Trump who talks like this and he's got orange skin and he waves his hands around and it's like, okay, now, if you make it too much of the time that it was made, then it's like 10 years from now, kids are going to watch this like, what is this? Like, who is this funny man? And
it's kind of the reason why they never, like in Top Gun Maverick, they never tell you exactly who the Rogue Nation or like which planes or which Gen 5 fighters they are for. There's like no markings whatsoever to keep it kind of just timeless.
And probably not to alienate markets. Let's be honest here. But
I could have easily said North Korea. No one's going to watch that movie, North Korea, anyways. But
I'm pretty sure North Korea can't afford any of those planes. But so, I mean, after current dealings, maybe they are getting a few. Again, not current issues.
But going back to that.
So that's actually my argument why the most recent seasons of Futurama, the ones that Hulu did, I think have been nowhere near as good, is because they're trying too hard to capitalize on what is popular right at the moment and make it too, on the nose. We watch stuff like that. It's like Futurama has always had a degree of tongue-in-cheek, get it? But they have an episode in the latest season where they're literally farming for Bitcoin. Like, guys,
5 years too late.
Making Nixon president again, that was a good move.
But going back real quick, Alexis, because I wanted to linger a little on that scene. I love the not just that, but how she has to like explain herself. Like when he calls her a scavenger, and he's like, of course I had to scavenge. Like, because the whole thing, if you remember in the season 1, when she's arguing with the other agent in front of Partagaz, and she's like, oh, I didn't get, like, I need the Star Path unit, like it's from your sector, like I need to have the information. And then Blevin, I remember now, his name is Blevin. He says something about how like the Empire should be compartmentalized, like everything should be compartmentalized, like that's how like the rule book, the guidebook is. And for the opposite, she thinks that all the agencies should be talking to each other. And so because of this whole thing of her trying to be like a scavenger to pick and parse through information, that's kind of how she finds out Luthen, right? If you remember, there's a part where she talks about how, like your department, like you guys caught a valet on Jeddah, and he said he's recruited by a guy who deals in antiquities, right? And so that's how she gets tipped off to Luthen. But her like doing the whole scavenging thing and going against the whole Imperial doctrine, that's how she gets in trouble, right? That's how she gets she's like, oh, like this thing was forwarded to me accidentally, she says, like months ago, and she's been sitting on this information for so long, for over a year, right? And just I love how Krennic delivers that little zinger. He's like about like, well, if you're not a rebel spy, then you missed your calling. Like, and then that's when he does like the little, which by the way was I guess he improvised that doing the finger thing on her head.
Interesting.
That wasn't even like a directorial like thing at all. He kind of just did it, and she just kind of like, so that shock you see on her face when he does that, like that is genuine. Like she just kind of runs with it. Like I just love that scene. And then even after he does that, like he still like manhandles like her face, and he's like, we'll do somehow without you or whatever. And just like, such a good scene.
He's just so mad at her. Again, that is a really great scene. And yeah, if Dedra had just followed protocol and alerted to what she had found out and given it to the supervisors, it may have taken them a little bit longer, but they probably could have caught Luthen, and they probably could have taken him alive.
Yeah, but you never know, and I think one of the great things about it is that there are arguments on both sides of this issue. It can be very hard to get things done when you have an overly compartmentalized organization, but also again, if you have too much collaboration, then you can get leaks, and you kind of see both sides of that. And the show itself, I don't think ever really takes a firm stance on which one's right and which one's wrong, because again, it's a balancing act. There's sort of both in there.
Very true.
It makes you think instead of telling you what to think,
All right.
which is a lost art these days.
Very much so.
Yeah. So one quick thing I would like to add about Deidre is I love how they just in the episode where she's having dinner with Cyril's mother, which excellent scene. When basically your son is dating basically a senior Gestapo agent who can just mess up your life in so many ways.
I do love the way she stands up to the mother, just like, okay, you're an overbearing bitch. Guess what? I can be more of an overbearing bitch.
I'm state sponsored.
I'm a state sponsored overbearing bitch.
Yeah, I can make people disappear.
I do like the jabs though Edie throws at her. Like she's like, "Oh, when she says, "Oh, I was raised in an Imperial Kinder block."
Exactly.
Yeah.
We had everything we needed. She's like, "Oh, except for a mother's love." And she's like, well, we didn't know what we were missing. Like very passive aggressive jabs back and
Yes, very, very, very nice, sort of that dry, almost like British wit there. But you brought up the thing I was actually getting at is like how she mentions that she was raised like basically in an Imperial kindergarten, like she was an orphan.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how like it's just dropped in there and never said again, but that informs I think so much of her character and why she is so much in the Empire. And in other shows we would get like an episode that's just her entire backstory where we just see her in the gutter, how she was rescued, and then like the kids that she played with, and we don't need any of that. You're just like, oh, okay, she was raised by the state. Now we understand, why she is the way she is and how things
just advocate for herself so much.
Yeah, and how it must really just destroy her to see, where she ended up and everything that she lost. And it's just I love how the show is so good at just not burying you with details. They're there. Like you have to you have to pay attention. This is a show that warrants attention. Like don't put this on in the background while you're doing other things. You'll miss a lot of stuff.
Exactly.
But it has enough faith in the audience to put things together and to understand without being, spoon-fed everything. And again, it's such a lost art these days.
I think the only time that we really get buried in detail is episode 10, because we get a lot more about Luthen and, oh my God, what's his assistant's name?
Clea.
Was it?
Clea.
Clea. I kept wanting to say Kyla, and I'm like, no, I know that's wrong.
Yeah. This is Star Wars. No one's name is spelled properly. Yeah. But what a monstrous thing to do that after they just teased K2SO. It's like, all right, we're gonna get K2SO, and next episode, wow, like Cassian or K2SO are not in this episode.
True. I would like to say great de-aging effects on Stellan Skarsgård. He looked incredible.
Say what you will about Disney, they've got that down better than anyone else.
Took them long enough. I mean, my God. I'm sorry, we still have nightmares over what they did to Carrie Fisher in Rogue One.
Tron Legacy, anyone?
It's not as what's funny is I don't think that's as bad as how they did Tarkin. So when I first saw Rogue One when it came out, I didn't think it was. I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. Watching Rogue One again immediately after finishing this, I was like, whoa, like it's very. He looks so fake.
Yeah,
it's very distracting.
Yeah, and in their defense, that was like full body CG replacement as opposed to like de-aging someone on screen. Like I assume it's probably a bit more difficult to do that.
Yeah, it looks better to what they did to Patrick Stewart in X-Men Origins Wolverine. His face looked like it was made of plastic, or no, worse, Ian McKellen's face.
That's right, yeah.
In The Last Stand, because Patrick Stewart actually looked good in there, but
he looked the same, didn't he?
I'm sorry.
Didn't Patrick Stewart look exactly the same? I thought.
They did a little de-aging. I think it was just erasing a few wrinkles to make him look a little bit younger. Okay. But what they did to Ian McKell's like, no, we're not there yet, guys.
Yep, got to start somewhere.
All right. And I love that you said you watched Rogue One after this, because that's what I keep hearing a lot of people say, is that now that you've seen the build-up, you really need to go see Rogue One, because everything is going to hit so much harder now that you know the build-up and the backstory of these characters. Yeah,
I'd be curious to see the streaming numbers for Rogue One after the finale of Andor.
They did. I heard today or the other day that it's like the #1 most watched movie right now on Disney Plus. Like currently, so
It's interesting. They also redid the poster for it, or well, not the poster, but the graphic, because before it's always been Jen in the foreground. Now
They
it's
put
Cassian
in the front.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it's like, remember, that's the dude from Andor.
Gotta synergize.
We really are starting into a new era.
You know what's funny though is having rewatched Rogue One now with the context of Andor both seasons, like I like Jin less now. Honestly, I'm like she's not as good as the characters I remember.
Yeah, well, I guess she can hang out with Finn on the Chinese poster for Force Awakens. We're so tiny.
Was there anything else that anyone else wanted to? Anything else that anyone wanted to talk about with the show? Because we're going over an hour here. So, did I miss anything? Were there any other points?
Probably, but I mean, I think we've kind of made the case. The show's awesome. It's amazing. Go watch it if you haven't watched it already. I guess in the interest of fairness, I can go over my small list of gripes. The arc where it was like Cassian wanting to leave the rebellion, I just thought was like, where did this come from and what was the point?
He got that immediately after the massacre. He was like in tears by the end of the episode.
I think it's also because he saw just how bad things were going for Bix. She was drugging herself to sleep. She was having night terrors. He is very protective of her. Remember, he killed that one guard just because he saw her face. And even Bix took offense. It's like, what you don't need to, take care of me like that. I'm a soldier too. Mm-hmm. And that is part of why Bix left.
Yeah, but I got the impression that they kind of fixed that, like at the end of that particular 3-episode arc where she kills the torturer.
Oh yeah.
So like I think like Bix. I mean, I don't know if that would solve those issues, but in the show it did. I can see you have a point with him witnessing the massacre, but like usually that would maybe add more motivation to keep the fight.
Right, I can see going either way.
But I think for all my talks that they don't spoon feed you, maybe they could have made that a bit more obvious. It just seemed to be him just like, I'm done now. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to run off with you. It's like, well, where did this come from? And now it made a bit more sense when we get the final shot of the show. That explains Bix's behavior more.
Yeah.
That changed things. Yeah. It was just, I kind of thought that they could have done a bit better stuff with the time and the show. I was enjoying how refreshingly competent everyone is in this show, and this is just kind of a bit like drama, because drama.
Now, I do love that final shot because it's pretty clear Bix knew she was pregnant, and she knew if Cassian knew he was going to be a father, he would not have stayed in the rebellion. He said, nope, I'm going to protect my family. We're getting the hell out of here.
Yeah, it is my experience. Women are pretty good at noticing those things.
Just a touch.
I mean, that kind of goes in line with you're talking about, Alexis, about the whole notion of sacrifice and how Bix was not willing to sacrifice the overall rebellion, the cause itself, even for her own happiness with, raising a family with Cassian. And I love how she leaves the video for him, and she talks about like how I had to do it this way because if I talk to you in person, like you would just talk me out of it and I would just go along with it. Mm-hmm. She had to make the decision for both of them, kind of selfishly, but also she understood that. I mean, there's that great scene with that Force healer when she talks to Cassian, or after he leaves, I think, and she says like he's like a messenger, right? He's this person who's gathering, he's adding people as he goes along, and Bix kind of realizes that too. That Cassian is way too important for the overall cause to just go live his life with white picket fences, right? He has to make that choice for the overall good of the rebellion and therefore sacrifice her own happiness so that he doesn't have any conflicting interests with staying with the rebellion.
Yeah.
Cassian, I would say Cassian is the Saint Peter. He is the one who will lead the rebellion to where it needs to be. So.
Yeah. And wasn't it so refreshing that there was like almost nothing on like Jedi?
Yes, I love that. Actually, I was almost upset when the Force healer showed up because I'm like, oh, we were doing so good. I really didn't like how she paints him as like this, like almost like, oh, this is his destiny. I'm like, we're doing so good with just regular people doing cool things. Like I don't need it. I don't need this extra mysticism added. I know it's Star Wars. You kind of you can't get away from that really, but I like it better when
I do appreciate that it was Cassian was a skeptic. Like he was just like, oh yeah, this is all a bunch of mumbo jumbo, because like this is sort of what we see in like A New Hope is
he's like, isn't she the cook?
You get like Han Solo, it's like, some ancient religion, it's just a bunch of mumbo jumbo.
Yeah,
and then we see
a bunch of missing. It's like no. Yeah, but what is the line? No, it's like no match for a blaster at your side. Cassian is Han Solo.
Hokey religions and lights. Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Jedi are cool. It's just they don't have to be in everything.
Exactly. I'm not sure if we're ready to wrap up yet, Alexis, but I would be remiss if we didn't mention Mon Mothma's exit speech and that rescue. That very high. Even though I know where everybody ends up, very high. Tense rescue of Cassian being right there in the heart of the Empire, right in the Senate building, extracting her like almost kind of like a Mission Impossible 007 kind of mission.
Yeah, that was a great way of following up the Gorman massacre episode. It was a different thing, but still lots of great tension and drama and excitement.
Her whole speech about objective truth and the importance of having like a shared reality that everybody can agree on, like that whole speech, like it felt for me what the Luthen speech was in season 1. Very similar, at least in terms of like again, like David was saying about like messages that kind of don't have to be pinned to any specific time really, but it's something that's like a all-time kind of message about the importance of like framing things as they actually are and not allowing the media to kind of manipulate the talk earlier in the season when they have when Bix, if you remember, she's all like drugged out on the bed and she's watching a Good Morning Coruscant, and they're like talking about like what are the senators wearing?
The parties, and what are you wearing, which designers did you get? Oh my god.
And even at Gorman, when you see like they have like these little camera robots droids floating, people are reporting,
oh god, the paparazzi
and
robots.
They're putting their own like but they're also putting like their own spin on what happened, like the agitators, the Gorman agitator, like and just all that kind of leading into what Mon Mothma talks about how like evil prospering when like we destroy objective truth, which is not different from subjective, which you can all interpret, but objective like no, this was a genocide. She says the G word, genocide, and calls out directly Emperor Palpatine and just like as soon as she gets back, as soon as her little pod goes back to like her door, and then we're just off with the whole like extraction mission. Like run.
Yeah, just run. Yeah, you just called out the Emperor. You are not getting out of this.
And then how they have the was it the technicians that fix that door that's been broken?
Oh my god. I've heard some fans say that they were probably paid off by Bail Organa to keep the door shut, but I just like the idea. It's like, nah, these are just people. These are just employees who are like, you know what, screw you.
Yes, that's my headcanon too. I'm like, it reminds me back to, if you remember Nemec's speech in the first season, we hear it too here again. It gets replayed this time for everybody about there's like thousands of people who don't even know they've already been recruited, right, for against the Empire, and like how it's ordinary people. Every act of like defiance pushes the lines.
Pushes us a little further.
Yeah. And that's basically what they did. I like it's like the militia is like, oh well, where's the key? He's like, oh well, the key's not here. You have to go. And then the guy runs off, and as he runs off to go get the key, like they just have like a little smirk on their face.
It's just like, sucks to be you. And again, in Star Wars Rebels, there is a scene where the characters are basically watching like a news update, and they mention Mon Mothma committing treason. Speaking out against Admiral Palpatine, and she mentions the Gorman massacre. So if you knew that and you saw you heard them talking about Gorman, you knew what was going to happen. You knew that this was going to be the buildup, and we wanted that speech. We're like, okay, this is the moment where Mothma says, no more hiding, no more playing games, no more subterfuge. I am done with you. It's like, peace, I'm out. And we knew we had that speech had to hit a home run out of the park.
Yeah, I love the part where once they're outside. after Cassian takes out the first time he shoots the spy in Bale's entourage,
Mhm.
and you see like the shock on Mon Mothma's face, because you realize she's never been on the front of violence at all this entire
Ever.
time.
She's a senator.
then-
She's been a senator since they say she joined when she was 16.
And then he shoots her driver when Cloris. She's like, oh, can we trust him? He's like, oh no, I'm pretty sure he's an Imperial plant. And he just Cloris like, and it just shoots him in cold blood. And then you see like the look of the shock on Mon Mothma's face, and you're like, this is clearly like one side of the rebellion, the more formal dignitary side, meeting the harsh reality of what it means to be part. And then I love how Cassie just says like, welcome to the rebellion.
To the rebellion.
Like this is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, I like it's like, what can I do to thank you? And he just says, make it worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, some great stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then she gets the haircut, so she actually looks like she does in
Gotta get
the.
that pixie cut.
Yeah,
He does too. He has to get the haircut too.
Yes, yeah, he does. It's like,
We got-
okay,
we
we
gotta
need
get-
continuity here, guys.
Gotta get everybody in the right spots for the next part.
yeah. Got to put on the same coat I was wearing in my first scene in Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
No, that really was a great speech. I love the scene. I just love the line, I have friends everywhere, and the way she looks at him and realizes that she can trust him now. Or that she was just like, oh, you're actually with the rebellion. Such a great scene. Really great action. So now that those episodes detailing the massacre and the aftermath, I think are the best of the season. Easily.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Were there any other points? Anything else? Did I miss anything?
Probably, but yeah, it's just watch the show, everyone.
Go watch the show and then go watch Rogue One. You can watch all of it on Disney Plus, and it is worth it. This is definitely one of the best series that we've gotten. I don't know if it completely erases the headache of the Acolyte, but it comes pretty damn close.
Yeah, I think this is this year's Shogun.
I would say
Oh,
so.
yeah, that's fair.
I would say so.
I really enjoyed Shogun. Yeah.
I'm still curious what they're going to do because they said it's been renewed for a second season.
Yeah, I hope they pull it off, but we'll see.
All right, you are so coming back on that. Don't
Oh,
worry,
yeah.
need your hope again.
Yeah, duh.
All right. Well, all right. Yes, folks. Andor season 1 and season 2 are currently playing on Disney Plus, along with the follow-up movie Rogue One, and another follow-up movie after that. I don't know if you may have heard. I think it's called A New Hope.
Yeah.
You know.
This is the new trilogy right here. You have a new trilogy. Andor season 1, season 2, and Rogue One. That's your new trilogy right there.
I love all the. You know those memes that show like the drawing of the horse.
Yes.
And I
Like
love
on
that
fire
it's
or
like,
whatever. Uh-huh.
yeah, but this one it's like the horse is completely out of order.
Yeah, well, it's like a friend of mine was talking about. Oh yeah, I had to watch Rogue One after Andor, but I mean, such a downer ending. It's like, well, it gets better if you watch the sequel, A New Hope, and everybody laughed.
I loved when Rogue One came out and said, and they're planning a sequel for it, just to see how many people would buy into that.
Yes.
Like you adorable little trolls.
Just having fun.
All right. Well, I think then we're going to go ahead and call it. Like I said, go check it out, guys. It is amazing. The pacing is a little slow in both seasons to start off, but trust us, it is worth it to get to some of the best moments, I would say, in the Star Wars history.
Absolutely.
All right.
I really hope that Tony Gilroy and this team gets something else to do.
Definitely.
I think he said he was done with Star Wars, but
Well,
like David said, and people like money, so we'll see.
Yeah. That might just be him saying, I'm waiting for the right price.
Well, the other thing that's important to note is that Gilroy originally came in. He wasn't a sci-fi fantasy writer. He wrote espionage movies.
That's kind of what Andor is.
Yeah, exactly. He worked
pretty
on the
much.
Bourne Identity films, Michael Clayton. He brought a different take to this. And this is similar to what we talked about when we reviewed Skeleton Crew. What makes Star Wars work is not when they try to build off of the already established canon. It's when they take something different and move Star Wars into it.
A little genre.
So something like this that clearly takes inspiration from the films of Oliver Stone and Francis Ford Coppola. It's so good and so so enjoyable. And this is what they need to keep doing if they want Star Wars to be more enjoyable. It's like, we don't need you to keep, preaching about the Jedi and trying to establish and build and build and build. We want to see these new styles and how Star Wars fits into them. That's what makes a good story. It's not just, it's a Star Wars movie, but it's got espionage. It's an espionage movie with Star Wars.
We need a Star Wars horror movie now. Give us a Star Wars
Yes.
horror movie.
I want a Star Wars. We talked about this again with Skeleton Crew. I want a film noir series in Star Wars.
Like a gumshoe detective kind of thing?
Yes, complete with the trumpet with the gray and the ring sides. I want that so badly.
The self-narration in the head, like she had a strawberry blonde complexion.
Yeah. As long as our detective character goes to Dexter Jester's diner at some point.
I'd be fine with that. But no, that's what I personally want to see.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Like Sin City, basically.
I mean, hey, Skeleton Crew referenced the holiday special, so, anything's possible.
Yeah.
Lucas, we will never let you bury that ever.
Well, he can always watch The Acolyte if he feels bad about it.
Oh, God. All right. So, coming on next week, Mr. Orozco, I know that you're coming back to review The Last of Us. I'm glad to have you
next
back.
week?
I think that's next week. Is that?
Oh,
Hang on a second. Let me double check my schedule.
Is that also a Tuesday?
Oh, no. That's not next week, because next week I'm doing the On Trial with Lilo and Stitch. It's 2 weeks. It's June 3rd. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. I'll remember that.
Yeah. Say a prayer for me, guys. I got to host an On Trial with Mark's kids.
What's his name is fun.
What's his name?
I forgot. Jonas. There you go.
Jonas, yeah.
Yeah.
No, they're great kids. I love them. But this is going to be an interesting show. We're doing an On Trial talking about classic anime Lilo and Stitch compared to the live action, which, please God, I think this may be the last live action adaptation for a while.
We can only hope.
Considering what Snow White did to the studio, this genre may finally be dead.
Rebellions are built on hope, David.
God. Yes. All right. David, did I have you on for The Last of Us? I can't remember.
No, I'm not involved with that at all.
All right. Because, I know Jesse's coming on for that. I think Jason's in on that. But I was getting some of my schedules mixed. I was like, wait, who's on which one? I can't even remember anymore.
Yeah, I'm not much of a post-apocalypse guy. I'm very much not a zombie apocalypse guy. That being said, I might be on for Fallout Season 2. We'll see how that goes.
Definitely. I didn't get a chance to host the Fallout Season 1 review. Ronnie took that over, but Marcus said I can take over Season 2. Looking forward to it. I cannot wait to see what they do with New Vegas. That's going to be so much fun.
That's my favorite game, too, of the series, so I'm curious to see how they...
I have played barely any Fallout games. I think I played the first hour of Fallout 3, so everything I know about Fallout is through osmosis.
One of my favorite memories is we had Fallout 4 on our PS4, and I watched my husband play it, and he was so bad. It was like he kept wasting his ammo trying to shoot bugs that he'd miss. I'm like,
oh those things are hard to shoot.
I know. I'm like, Andre, put the gun down. It's not working. You're a terrible shot.
Way to encourage him.
Pistol whipping them.
Oh, God.
Yeah. You got to try this game. They try the game. You suck at this. It's like I don't think this is going to go the way you plan.
All right. Yes, we got The Last of Us coming up. We're also it just got announced, like I said, Resident Alien Season 4 is coming out. The Bear Season 4 is coming out. Mark and I we finally got caught up with The Bear, so we're excited to talk Season 4 when that premieres. And they just dropped the trailer today for It, Welcome to Derry. That's going to be premiering this fall. So I will definitely be talking about that.
Is that a sequel to It?
It is a prequel. It takes place in so it's not a prequel to the book. It's a prequel to the 2-part movie with Bill Skarsgård because it takes place in the 60s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like wait, which timeline are we focusing on here? But it does look really good. So looking forward to that. Again, we'll be also doing an on trial for Lilo and Stitch. David, what other shows do you have coming out? Do you know?
Ooh, bit of a lull here. I know I'm booked in for Strange New Worlds later this year. That's the only one that leaps to mind. But you never know. I might pop up on something if I see something I'm interested in and have the time.
All right. Oh, and I can't believe I forgot this. I'll actually be back here tomorrow night. I'll be joining Mark to talk Apple Cider Vinegar, a Netflix miniseries looking at influencers and certain ones who decided, you know what, maybe if I pretend I have cancer and I got it cured by the means of holistic medicine, will net me a few more followers.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So
What could possibly go wrong?
Well, it's also going to be interesting because if you've paid attention to our shows, you know that Mark is a cancer survivor. So this hits very close to home for him. I am the daughter of a twice cancer survivor. My father has had cancer twice. So this is something that really it hits close to the chest for both of us. So we're dusting off the soapboxes. We're going to have a lot to talk about. All right. And Andrew, like I got you coming back for The Last of Us. Anything else going on you want to share with our audience?
No. Oh, well, actually, if you guys want to check it out, I did do my co-host. I'm his co-host, actually, for my Star Wars show. We did a 4-hour plus review of Andor Season 2, if you guys want to check that out. You can just find it under Backlot Banter. That's the YouTube channel, Backlot, and then Banter, and then look for my Star Wars show within that. It's under an umbrella of another thing. So
I gotcha.
Yeah, kind of like how you have your series within the overall Radicalized in broadcasting thing. So yeah, so Backlot Banter is the YouTube channel, and then my Star Wars show is the show within that.
Very cool. All right, and now as Mark had AI write a song about it, The Plugs That Pay My Bills. I swear to God, that man is going to sell us out to the robot apocalypse.
Going to.
Already has.
Have you seen that meme with the guy? There is a robot apocalypse, and there's like robots about to shoot this guy, and the other robot's like, wait, no. Like he always said thank you when he would use ChatGPT.
His prompts were very polite.
You know what? I actually always say thank you to Siri when I use it. And I remember one time I was at the grocery store, I heard a song playing, couldn't place. I'm like, Siri, what song is this? And she played, I'm like, okay, thank you. And I had people looking at me. I'm like, what? I'm polite to my future AI overlord. Thank you very much. But yes, Honeysuckle Rose Creations, where fashion meets fandom at the intersection of geek and chic. We're getting a little busy right now because we're going to have our Memorial Day sale this weekend, 15% off everything in both our Amazon and Etsy shops. And weekend after this, I am going to be in Des Moines for Des Moines Con. Looking forward to it. Among the guests arriving, we are going to have Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio from Daredevil Board Again. We're going to have Mike Coulter from the Luke Cage, and we are going to have epic rap battles of history. They're on tour, and they're going to make a stop in Des Moines. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait to hear them perform. Of course, we're going to have a bunch of our new stuff. I've been working on a new collection of necklaces. I'm actually wearing one of them. If you can't tell, this is actually made from a Super Mario Monopoly token. It is a fire flower. So I've turned it into a cool little fire flower themed necklace. Got a ton of those that we're working on from both Mario and Legend of Zelda Monopoly. Afterwards, we're going to be at KC Crypticon here in Kansas City, working on a Nightmare Before Christmas collection of necklaces. Can't wait to debut those. And again, you can find us on Etsy and Handmade at Amazon. You can always follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, Quit Twitter, No Regrets, and TikTok. So for myself, for Mr. Andrew Orozco, for David Wright, thank you very much for joining us. I'm Alexis Hejna saying, we are the Gore, the galaxy is watching.